Thank you very much for joining me. Do this. I'm rather excited. As we go along, things might get a little wonky, a little clunky, but we'll work with it. What we're here to do is we're here to learn. Okay, so let's actually get started. What is the stream about? What are we doing here? As you can probably see, I have here this piece of software open, which is Ardour. Ardour is a very powerful digital audio workstation, or DAW, and you can use it to produce music. Now, you can do all sorts of different things. You can record multiple recordings. But what we're going to be focusing on is a very specific type, which is the use of MIDI and using what's known as VST, which are basically virtual instruments. People went out there and recorded huge samples of people playing music, people playing instruments. And now we can come here, and if we press... and that's real musicians, recording real instruments in a real place, and then us using that recording to play music and to create music together. And then obviously we can record that and create songs. Now, this is the way that a lot of composers work nowadays because of the convenience. It's so easy, it's so quick. You can, instead of conducting an orchestra and recording it, do all of your composition in a computer at home. And then when you come to the final version of it, you can come and record the orchestra. That's what it's used for. For me, I discovered this piece of software and others that we'll use today. And just the fact that it's free and available is so incredible that I've been having a lot of fun just playing with it. Not doing anything serious. I'm not a professional musician. I'm not making money off of this. This is purely a hobby that I enjoy doing. And because of that, I wanted to share it with you, anyone who might be interested, whether you've never picked up an instrument before, whether you're a musician and you've never worked on a computer with music and you'd like to know how, or whether you're just interested in a career in film, television, and video games. All of that can be done with this. So that's what I hope we will be doing today, and we will be learning how to use it. So why don't we get started? Today, we're going to be focusing on the BBCSO plugin. And so what is this plugin? Well, as the name suggests, it's a recording of the BBC's symphony orchestra into a sample library that can be used. You can see here in front of you. So the woodwinds, piccolo, flute, oboe, clarinet, and bassoon. The horns, okay, trumpet, trombone, bass trombone, tuba, and a horn section, French horn, percussion, strings. And if you see, I've got here lots of doubles. Violin, violin, violin. So this is violin 1, is the first violins. And then you have different articulations, different ways of playing each of these instruments, which they've recorded separately. And so let's hear what it sounds like. So this is the violin long. Okay, very simple. But here we have violin spiccato. Okay, and that's a different sound. Even if I keep holding the note, it only plays that very quick draw of the bow as they do it. Okay, here we have pizzicato, the plucking of it, and we have the tremolo. Okay, all going perfectly well. Let's start with some music. How do we start by writing music? Well, obviously, I do have the keyboard set up. If you don't have a keyboard, you can do it without, but we're going to start with a keyboard just to get things going. So let me just arm the track here, and now whenever I play here, it's going to record this channel. So we're going to start off with just some general strings. We'll see how it goes. Let's see what kind of BPM we're talking about. I think that's a bit fast. We will do 100. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so let's try something, I don't know, in the key of like up minor. Okay, there was something there, but definitely not what we're looking for. So let's have a look and see what we can get. Alright. I actually don't like the sound of that as much. Let's move on to the violin. How's that? That sounds good, right? Okay, that's not bad. And now what we can do with that is duplicate it. So let's duplicate it 3 times. So we'll have 4 of them in the end. And now we have this first layer of violin that is playing in the background. We're not going to do anything more right now. We're just going to leave that as is. Now we're going to add. Now what I always like to add is go on to the bass as soon as I do that. So we can try some cello. And maybe with the cello we'll do some spiccato. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, I like that. Let's try that and see how it goes. And we're going to start adding these layers on. So you can see, I believe, yeah, you can see what I'm playing. I'm just doing the octaves and emphasizing the one with the right. So let's see how that sounds. We didn't need that last note, but we've got something. We've got something to work with. It's coming together. So as you can see, what I'm doing is the same melody. And here we're leading with the high note, right? And we have that constant bass, which sort of builds tension. And that occasional emphasis with the high note joins the violin as it walks down, okay? Now, a very simple technique, especially for orchestration. What's very, very important is not to do too much. Because as soon as you start doing too much, with all the instruments, each one doing too much, it just grows too much too quickly. Very soon it starts sounding bad. So what you want to use is a lot of doubling. Right? So this is a very simple melody. Right? It's the arpeggio of F sharp minor. And just walking down. We're going to try and keep it as simple as possible to get through this. So, now that we have the cello, let's add in some bass. And in fact, with the bass, we're also going to double it. I wonder how it will sound. So let's see how this goes. Let's play through it. And let's see if we give like a very long soft with the bass. But we're going to do it much, much lower than that. Okay, let's hear that sound. I think that sounds good. What I do think, though, is that maybe a bit much to enter with that already. So instead of that, let's do something else, which is we're going to duplicate this now, and we'll do this 3 times as well. And now the contrabass with that long sustained note on the bottom is going to come in later. So it's going to come in on the next bar. I've tidied up a little bit. So instead of the massive amounts of tracks that we had last time, I took off most of the articulations and used the ones that we're using. Now I have this list here of all of the buses, and these are the ones that I'm showing right now. Just to tell you why it's looking a bit different. If you're watching the recording of this, I didn't actually get to show the recording of the bass, but that's fine. You know, it's exactly the same as the rest, and we're just going to continue. So, for now, let's listen to what we have so far and see how it sounds to us. Okay, so why don't we carry on? Now that we have this sort of intro part, it's starting to get a little bit boring by the end here. So after the bass comes in for one sort of measure, I think that what would be good would be to have a melody start to pick up over here. So let's go. And I thought what would be good for this was maybe to have a little bit of flute. That flute sounds a little bit soft to me. What do you think with everything? Yeah, well, it could be a little bit louder. I'll tell you what, maybe we could raise the woodwind. I like that, okay. What do you think? That sounds nice. So yeah, why don't we do that? Let's add in a melody for the flute, and we'll do that. I like that dissonance of F flat and F sharp. So what did I... Maybe instead of climbing. Nice. How does that sound? Let's try recording something. Okay. Something like that. Let's just add it in there. Yeah. Sound. Let's give it a bit of a break, actually. A bit more than that, so that's something. Hard to tell the rhythm sometimes when you're in the middle of listening to that, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's an interesting melody. That's all we really want. Let's carry on. Okay, so now we're starting to build up this sort of thing, and we're starting to get more layers, which are starting to work together, and we have a certain sort of intro, I would say. This isn't exactly a song, but like we have a few bars here that are going. What we could obviously do is we could carry on layering more and more. Now, I do have a tendency to do too much at the beginning, but for an entire orchestra, it sounds quite full. And at the same time, it's rather a narrow sort of register, right? We have like the basses, we have the violin, we don't have much in the middle. So maybe what I'm thinking now is we can get some kind of viola, which is lovely, to harmonize with our violin line. Now, our violin line is rather quite a lot of notes playing quickly, right? So I think what would be nice is, like with a cello, we can sort of draw it and make it quite slow and give these long sustained notes. Okay. So something along the lines. Now, if the cello was going down, right, that's our sort of line with the violins, we could double that again. Right, but it is, I mean, that works, that's fine, that's one style. It's a little bit boring. But why don't we try, instead of going down, why don't we try going up in the right scale? Oh my gosh. So, right, something like this. And again, that sounds like a lovely harmony that's going in reverse, right? If we're going down with the violins and down with the cello and down with the bass, now we're going to go up with the violas. And that will give it a nice, interesting feel. So because of that, I actually also don't want it to come in with the first sort of part that we have here, the first bar with the cello and violin. That sounds great. The second bar with the bass, it's not really as interesting. You know, you have that bass, but I think here it could be nice. So that's what I think we're going to do. So let's start recording from there. So it's a very simple line. But that's what we want. We want it to keep it simple when I'm recording. Okay, I continue that a little bit, but I thought that might sound nice when it's going together. And of course, with the second one, it comes in with the flute, so that might be a nice transition. Let's see how it sounds. Quite dominant. Turn it down a bit. think that sounds good. Let's just tidy this up and duplicate it until the end. So we only really need it to be 1, and then we're going to just slice it down the middle. Right? Let's see how that sounds with a melody. Okay, I think that is working, and really and truly here we would want to start a new piece, taking it somewhere else. Maybe we can try and do that and see how it goes. We'll carry on and we'll do another section. What I would want to do if I was, really thinking about what to do with a song was I'd like to add some timpani. I'm just going to show you what that would sound like, just so you get a feel for what that would be. So a percussion hit. Where's my percussion? Right. Okay, so something to emphasize that same beat. Something a bit louder for a bit fiercer for later on in the song. So that's just an idea, and that's something I just heard as I was going. So let's carry on and let's get something for the second part. So we started with the violins. And I think it would be nice if we actually switched over now and maybe added a few more woodwinds as the sort of second part here that we're going into. So I do love a good oboe, I must admit. The oboe and the bassoon, you don't hear about them much. I don't know, they're not as famous somehow, but I really have grown to like them using these orchestral samples. Let's have a look and see how it goes. Now, we're in the scale of F sharp minor. Right, and our basic movement is sort of a very minor, right, that sort of semitone, that minor kind of feel to it. So I would like to maybe change it up now. We'll try something major. So the easiest major would be when we land here to go to the D, which has the F sharp in it. Right, that's our D major. So the F sharp minor and D major are very related. They share a lot of the same notes and they play very well together harmonically. So let's see if we can find a way to transition, because here we're clearly still in the minor and we have this very strong flute melody. So what I think we could do actually is, if you remember what we did, instead of taking the violas away, maybe they can be our lead in. What do you think of that? So how does that sound now? That's an F sharp minor. That's not the best for D. Viola's playing this. What if we climb up at the same time? No, this sounds terrible. Because I'm playing with a bassoon with the same thing, it's going to sound awful like that. But with the maybe the bassoon would sound better actually. Right, something like that. So let's see how that sounds just by playing. Right, so that can work. That can definitely work. Let's try it. Now, again, this is so simple, right? I literally just played 3 notes, one of them holding for double bars. So we're not going complicated, but in our head, we're trying to imagine all of the other instruments going to be fighting for place and fighting for our ear. And so that's why we're trying to keep it simple right now, so that when it's time for us to add all those things, we'll still have space in our song to do it. So let's see what we mean by that. Now, I'm feeling here, obviously, if we just leave this as is, we're going from this rather full ensemble, right? To suddenly very silent. It's all very empty, right? We have to fill that, and that's what we're going to do. So the violins are the biggest one, I think. And what I like is I like this rhythm. I do like that rhythm. I want to keep that rhythm going, but we need to change scale, which means we need to change notes. And I want to diminish the complexity of the violin now and have it more of a background. And we'll see what we'll do with that, because we're going to be bringing in the woodwinds more. We're going to keep that rhythm, right? Right, we're going to keep that rhythm going somehow, but we're going to keep much simpler, not the arpeggios. Right, that's a lot of different notes. Here we're going to make it much simpler, a lot of repeating notes, I think. And in fact, if that's what we're doing, then why don't we change our violin now to spiccato instead? Yeah? Okay, so let's see how that sounds. You know what, hang on. Always save your work. Always. Very important to always save your work. So I'm going to try and improvise a melody here. Not a melody, sorry, like another backing. And when I'm doing that, I want to hear what it sounds like with the bassoon and with the violas, obviously. But I'm also going to try and sort of figure out what I already have. So I have the these two counter lines where the violas are climbing down, right? What are they doing? Right, very simple. It's a very F sharp minor still reminder, and the bassoons are going up. That's literally the line. Very simple. So why don't we try to combine these? And so we have, right, these are the notes that we're playing. And I think that these are our two sort of major notes that we also share. So what if the violins did something like this? Something like that, right? Like a lot of these double notes. Yeah. No. But that's not going to be in all of this first bar. So let's see how it goes. No, it's completely off. Why is that completely off? You know what it is? With the other things, I can't hear so well. So let's try recording it without anything else. Now we can take it off solo, take that off, and let's listen to it together. Now, what I would like to do is now obviously to sort of continue with this. Let's hear the transition one time before we carry on and see how that sounds. Okay, so you can hear that this is already going somewhere else, right? We're slightly in a major tune. The violins are still keeping some of that minor feel, and we're losing, well, not losing, but right now we don't have any bass. So very clearly we can hear that drastic stop from the cello and the bass together, just suddenly being empty. So we have to fill that up. I'm not going to carry on too much with this because I'll be honest, I'd like to sort of try some other styles as well and see how it goes. For now, I think I'm going to be close to finishing this just as a sort of example. So right now we said that the bass is really the biggest thing that's sort of a drop and missing. What I thought was actually with the contrabass to draw this note. What is this note? That's the D. Wonderful. So let's do that. Have a look and see. So I was thinking of, right, where is it? We've got to hit the note. By the way, if you're doing this, just so you know, you have to hit the start of a MIDI note in order for it to trigger it. If you start in the beginning, then you won't hear anything. Okay? Okay, I like the sound of it, and it can definitely pull, but I don't think it's actually that good all the way through to the end. So instead of that, what I think we'll do is we'll walk it down again. So where were we with D? Right? So that's the viola, and so let's just walk it down. Let's listen to that. So let's see how that goes. Okay, I don't know why it's so out of rhythm here. You can hear with the metronome. I'm not sure if it's the lag or what it is. Okay, now that that's actually on beat. Okay, so we're nearly done here. Honestly, we're not going to be doing much more than this. We have that nice bass. Obviously, if we were continuing. What I don't like about the bass is that it's still very much in the F sharp minor. Right? It's technically a B minor, but because we're moving from the key of F sharp, it just emphasizes the F sharp minor. So maybe if instead of ending on the F there, we can just pull it down to D again. Let's see how that sounds. Draw this one instead of that to A, and then instead of F sharp, we'll go down to D. Yeah, you see, do you hear the difference? It just sounds completely different. We just moved these two notes further down to emphasize the key change, and now everything gets this overtone of this sort of happy major scale. That's what I get anyway. So what we're going to do now is one last thing, which I have to do because the bassoon sounds very much now like the horns. To me. So I was thinking of maybe not doubling it, but adding a horn section. So what I think we could do already is double this with the oboe, and it just gives it a bit of a richer sound. So let's hear that in context now. Okay, it's sounding so much warmer now and that happy sort of thing. Let's just hear the comparison. This is what it sounded like without the oboe. Okay, and this is with. It just adds a little bit. Again, we're not adding complexity because we're keeping the exact same line as the bassoon, an octave higher because the oboe has a higher register, and it just sounds better. Instead of them fighting over it, they complement each other. And that way we're sort of adding so much more texture and richness without adding complexity, without making it too much. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the horn section. And because I hear the bassoon very much in this like horn-esque sound, so I want to add to it. And the truth is, I love the French horns. The problem with the French horns is that they are massive. They're huge. I mean, obviously you can use them and you can use them sparsely. With Spitfire, this is a horn section. I think it's 3 French horns recorded, or 3 voices. We just have to be very careful with the horns. They're very powerful. They're natural tendencies to be used to sort of, But that's what I sort of want to try and do here. We're going to try and do it as mellow as we can, but we're symbolizing this change from that minor melancholy sound to something more uplifting and exciting. So let's think of a nice horn part, and again, we're going to be not overdoing it. We want to emphasize here, so we can even have like, maybe we'll do that. We'll add a little bit of an effect. So we'll have the chord, the regular D chord, as you can see, yes, okay. It's not the best angle, but there you go. So the regular D chord is D, F sharp, A. And what we want to do with orchestration often, because it's very close like this, we want to break it up. So we're going to take the same 3 notes and we're just going to spread them out across. Okay, the French horn has a wide range. So we're going to go D down here, and then we're going to climb all the way up to the F over here and the A at the top. Okay? And already, right? Sounds very different. It's a little sparse. Maybe we'll bring the A down. So we'll bring the A here, the F here, and the D. Right? And then if we want, we can add that lower that lower D as well. Okay? So I think we're going to do that, and we're going to have a very slow entrance. Are we ready? Now, let's go into automation, and let's hear how it sounds. Something like that. It's actually starting. Right now. Okay, that's a bit too much at the end. Obviously, we could play around with this all day, and this is getting into the effects world and all of that. We're not really going to deal with it, right? If I was making a song, or when you make a song, the whole side of sound design and the end part of it, basically, of what you do to process it, to add effects, all of that jazz, is a whole other thing. We're not going to deal with that. For today and for this stream and what we've been doing, I am pretty pleased with that. Should we have a quick listen to the whole thing and see what we got done? We'll take it off the metronome. The volume is all over the place. None of the tracks are really, but you know. That flute is a bit much, eh? Okay, well, I mean, you know, this is in no way something I would, you know, this is a learning process, okay? All we're doing here is trying stuff together, seeing what we come up with. I had a lot of fun. Let me know if you're watching this, if you enjoyed it, if you like this kind of content. I'm thinking next time of switching over to, instead of this obviously classical piece, more of a beat. You know, electronic. I like very chill music, lo-fi, stuff like that. But I do enjoy other, you know, EDM and different electronic music. So if you enjoyed this and you'd like to learn more about audio production and LMMS or Ardour or Linux audio in general, and it's something that interests you and there's something that you would like specifically to hear about, let me know. I'm very open. I love doing all of this. I'm completely unprofessional. I'm learning this with you all as we go. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun, you know, and you come out with something in the end that's not terrible. It's certainly not good, but it's a lot of fun, I think, on the way. That will be it for me, and I'll be back with more streaming probably sometime this coming week. I'm not sure over the weekend, but I'll post on Hive before I do. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you had a great time. And I'll see you in the next one.